I'm going to tell you how to get an IG Baddie body. Step 1, get plastic surgery. Hooray, you're finished. Obviously, I'm kidding. But for the vast majority of Instagram models, OnlyFans models, just all the baddies you see on IG with the little snatched little waist, they likely have plastic surgery, and that is just the truth of the matter. But the reason they got that is because they're lazy. They got businesses to focus on, okay? They don't have time to be up in the gym working on their health. But you do. Let's face it, you do have time. And if you want to have one of these bodies, I can tell you exactly what muscles to train and how to train them in order to get a physique at least like 99% similar to the girls you see on Instagram. I'm not just some random girl who's saying this either. I'm a personal trainer, have been for years, and I work at a women's only gym, so I understand what happens to the physique when we train certain muscles with heavy weights, okay? So let's get realistic. What is actually achievable? What is a natural look that we can actually go put in a little bit of work and get the results we want to see and not be so unrealistic trying to get the body of someone who has a fuck ton of work done and literally edits the photos with Facetune and AI. So something that you can actually change is the general shape of your body. If you are currently built like a apple or like a pear or like a triangle or whatever, you can build muscle in different areas and you can lose enough fat to be able to see the muscle that you built in those areas. You could try to build more muscle in one area than the other to combat the, like say you have a triangle shape, you want to build up the area around the top part of your body, like your titties and your shoulders, so that you get an hourglass figure instead of a triangle figure. Like, you can change your figure through weightlifting. Like, even that sounds like unrealistic, but you can. Trust. The second thing that is achievable is that little line down your back. You know what I'm talking about? Like, if your back is just a big blob right now, you can make it a lot more defined and snatched. This one's kind of tricky, but you can get wider looking hips. It's a bit of an illusion because you can't actually change the bone structure under your hips, and I'll go into that further here in a second, but you can create an illusion and put some muscle on the hips. All right, we can do that. Abs. You can't change the genetic appearance of your abs once you have them. They grow in the way they grow in, but you can do a nice little lean line, a flat stomach, and most of the time you wear clothes anyway, so you don't need to see every little detail in your whole stomach. If you have weird ab genetics like I do, then you just have to learn how to wear the right clothing that shows, like for me, the top part of my abs are like, they're grown in, but the bottom part never really seems to work. That's another thing that you actually cannot take away is the fat. I'm talking to the girls. The fat that covers your uterus is there for a reason. It's to protect the theoretical baby. So you can't ever fully entirely get rid of that unless you're like lean, in which case that's not healthy. And I don't feel like the IG baddies are lean. The IG baddies are curvy, girl. So, like, we're not getting skinny here. If you're severely overweight, we'll talk about that too. But that's a different discussion. I'm talking about, like, we still want some fat on the body. And so because of that, you're going to have a little fat right above your cooch. You can give yourself perkier titties. They can be, like, more sat up. I am not a good example because I have no tits at all. But if you got some fat on your tits, say they're starting to sag a little bit, like down your belly, we can fix that. We can have them sit up high, all right? We can tighten them up, you know, bring them up towards the neck. That we can do, yes. Can we make the titties bigger? Honey, I don't know if that's possible. Mine definitely got better. And you can add fat. Like, if you're really skinny like me, if you started skinny, you can add fat while working out and you won't end up fat. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you can eat more and get heavier while weightlifting and you won't get fat. You'll just look better and better. And your titties will get bigger. So they can get bigger, but like kind of in an indirect way. So what is not achievable is eliminating cellulite. Even the most professional athletes, bodybuilders, everybody got cellulite. It's literally just your skin. Like, you have to have a little bit of it. You can reduce it, you can make it look a little better, but it's gonna be there. Again, same thing with the fupa. It's gonna be there no matter what. You can't completely eliminate it. Let's not focus on that. Also, it's kind of hot, so like I don't know why you'd even want to get rid of that anyways. Like, again, the curves are in. We want curves. Why would you want to get rid of that? You would be so lean and like veiny. That's not the goal here. So let's go back to the hip dips really quick. I don't know if you can see my body. Hopefully you can see my hips. I'm wearing a skirt. But basically, this is my hip bone right here, okay? And this bone goes like in like this, right? And then the leg bone starts at the hip and goes out like this, okay? So it like forms a little triangle right here, okay? So some people have a closer together triangle, a more acute triangle, all right? So they have a triangle that looks like this, and so like white people, like white girls, a lot of the time will have a bigger looking triangle for whatever reason. And so the closer your triangle is, the less of a hip dip you will have, okay? So I have a really aggressive, I'm gonna show you. This is kind of weird. Like, I'm wearing a bodysuit. Oh my god, it's untied. Hold on one sec. Okay, I got it buttoned, but can you see? So, see how my hip goes in? Like, it goes in right here instead of out. It's because my fucking hip bone is way up here, and then my leg bone is right here. So, it sticks out. So, there ends up being this, like, gap. So, basically what I'm saying is there's nothing you can do about hip dips. And actually what happens if you gain, like, imagine I gained 50 pounds. I would have hips, like my hips would get bigger, right? But then there would still be a hip dip. So it would go like out, and then it would still have the little dip. You know what I'm saying? Like, some things you literally just cannot change, but we can make it better. Don't worry. I'm about to tell you exactly how. Here's the craziest part of this whole video. So you're sat there right now thinking, oh, I want to have the perfect body. I want to have this perfect figure, nice and hourglass, ass fat, all this shit. Once you start working out, your mental health will become so much better to the point where you no longer care about the way that your body looks. I mean, if your body is strong, you're going to be confident, and you're not going to focus on these little minute details like, oh, I have hip dips. Like, who gives a fuck? You're hot shit now. You can squat over 200 pounds. Like, who gives a fuck about some hip dips? You're still sexy. So the biggest mistake I see people making when they first start out in the gym is doing like 12 exercises in one session. Okay, that sounds like a normal amount maybe to you, but the reality is when you're doing 12 exercises, you're working up a sweat, you know, you're doing all this crazy shit, you're going crazy, like you're getting shit done, right? That's what you think. That's not optimal scientifically. What's scientifically optimal is to train for strength. When you train for strength, you grow muscle. Like, when you get close to failure, that's what makes you stronger. That's what builds the muscle. Okay, so when I'm talking ass, your ass is the biggest muscle in your entire body. Literally, the glute maximus is the biggest muscle in your entire body. If you're lifting some 10 pounds, girl, that's not going to do shit. I'm just being honest with you. That's not going to do shit. If you got your little booty bands, you know, the booty bands, they'll do something. I'm going to get to that. But you have to be using some heavy weights, and when you use heavy weights, you have to do less exercises because otherwise you're going to be there for like 10 hours because you have to get to failure. That is the number one. If you take away nothing else from this entire video, you have to get to failure or close to it, like at least 1 or 2 reps. But if you're like, yep, 10, done. Like, no, I want the last rep. I'm just using bench for an example because I'm sitting down, but I want the last rep to be like, you gotta fight for your life, girl. But I'm not talking about cardio. Like, you don't even need to break a sweat if you don't want to. I don't really break a sweat. You can do not that many reps, not that many sets, and get the job done. This does not need to be you running around all over the gym, getting red in the face, breaking a sweat, okay? Focus on just a few exercises. I'm going to tell you exactly which ones to focus on to build that hourglass physique with the plump booty, okay? I'm going to tell you exactly which exercises to do, and it is not very many, okay? First exercise. It's a scary one, but if you do one thing in the gym, just do this. We're going to deadlift, okay? You can choose what kind of deadlift. I don't even care, all right? Just deadlift, period, because let me tell you what's going to happen. When you deadlift, first and foremost, your ass, oh my God, like you're not going to be able to carry it around. You're going to have to get a fucking CDL in order to drive that ass around. It's going to make your booty pop. Second reason we're going to do deadlifts is it's going to build these muscles in your back, especially your lower back. It is going to build your lower back. Now you might be thinking, why do we want to build our lower back? Like, how is that relevant to the hourglass waist? What's going to happen, this is crazy, okay? What's going to happen is these muscles here, they're going to start popping out and they're going to tighten all this skin around your belly, and they're going to take all the fat from the sides of your belly and snatch that shit in like a corset. Deadlifts are really good for you, really, really, really good for you. They work the entire body, the whole backside. You want your backside to look good? Do deadlifts. My only disclaimer about deadlifts is watch a fucking YouTube video on it before you do them. Watch a YouTube video on all the exercises I'm about to tell you, but especially deadlifts, because you're gonna not feel good after you deadlift if you never learn how to properly do it, okay? Just watch a YouTube. Just look it up. Deadlift. 5 minutes. It's not that hard. Okay, second exercise is Bulgarian split squats. This is a one-legged squat pretty much. You put your back leg up, but you don't really use it. You really don't use it. It's just there for stability. But the reason we're going to do Bulgarians is because, one, it grows your ass, yes. The second reason is it grows your quads. You're going to have thicker thighs, and who doesn't want that? So it's going to work the front and the back of your leg at the same time. And what happens when you do that is it takes the fat from the inside of your leg, because that's not the muscle we're working. We're not making the inner thigh any bigger. We're just making the quad bigger. So it's going to pull that inner thigh fat and it's going to pull it to the outside pretty much. So then you're going to really get that. The bottom half of the hourglass is going to fill out when you do Bulgarians, because it literally hits every leg muscle. The third one is not legs, because just those two exercises alone are going to get your legs right. Okay. But if we only do legs, we're going to be like so small on the top and just fucking walking around with thick ass legs. Like, you're not going to look right, babe. How are you going to have an hourglass if the top half of your hourglass is not spreading out? Like, you have to spread out the top. So if you're like, that's not no hourglass, babe. We want our waist to look skinny. Like, oh, did you even eat today? Like, you look like a pencil girl. We want snatched, tight waist, right? That's what you said, right? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're not going to do anything to the abs, but we're going to build and grow here, okay? So that we get a little, hold on. So that we get hourglass, right? So this part has to come out, okay? Are you hearing me? So we're going to have, the way we're going to do that is by doing lat pull downs or pull-ups. You might be thinking, Hannah girl, I cannot do a fucking pull-up. I am lazy and unathletic. That's okay. We're going to use a band. It's this really long band. We're going to wrap it around the bar, and we're going to put our little feet in it. We're going to straighten them out, put all of our weight in the band, and then we're going to pull ourselves up, and it's going to be fine. This is the one that I saw the biggest difference in my own personal body with how my waist looked. Like, I just looked so much more snatched. And I look so much more athletic with bigger lats too. I just look better and I stand better. I have better posture. That's the biggest thing. I don't know if you've ever seen a girl with good posture, but that bitch is sexy. She is fucking hot, let me tell you. The fourth exercise is back to legs. It's actually just booty again, but it's going to target this upper butt. The biggest thing is to build your whole entire butt, but when we build the glute max, the big one that goes like this, that is what's going to produce the most effect on the volume of your ass, okay? But going back to the hip dip thing, building this upper shelf here is going to give more of an illusion of wider hips. So that's why we do hip abduction. There's a machine for this at the gym where you literally just sit and you put your legs out and then back in. You can just choose to do that, or there's a bunch of variations where you use little weights and just anything that opens your legs up with weights is going to work the upper glutes. So you can use bands, but let's go back. What did I tell you at the beginning? We have to go to failure. So if you're using bands, what's going to happen is you don't really know where failure is, because you're going to do like 30 fucking reps, and then you're going to stop when it burns instead of stopping when your body physically cannot do it anymore. You're going to stop based off of a feeling. And that's not really scientific, babe. I would rather you either just sit on the hip abduction machine and crank that shit out, or use some sort of weighted form of hip abductions, okay? But anything where you're pushing your legs out, that's what we're gonna do. That's gonna build the top shelf. That's gonna create an illusion, because you'll be able to see that top shelf from the front. That was like my biggest fear that just came to reality. How long was it like that? Why didn't you tell me? Okay, fifth and final exercise is another scary one, but it's gonna be bench, okay? Because what did I tell you? We can make the titties sit higher up towards the neck. And how are we gonna do that? We're gonna bench. Because if we're only doing one arm exercise, it's gotta be bench. It stretches out the titties, breaks all those fibers up, and pulls them back together. So if you want perkier titties, I'm sorry, you gotta bench. It's fun, don't worry. You're gonna be fine. Get you a little gym baddie to show you how to do it and spot you and make sure you don't die. But if you don't have a gym baddie, just use dumbbells. But make sure you keep increasing in weight. And that is the final tip that I will leave you with today, is to go heavy. Because I tend to see a lot of you girlies lifting these light little weights thinking that that's gonna snatch you up. The fastest way to get this gym baddie body is by lifting heavy shit. Like, I'm talking barbell movements, stack them plates on, baby. Don't hurt yourself, don't be stupid, obviously. Like, if you're like, ow, fuck, then maybe take some weight off. Or if you literally just try to pick up the weight and then you can't, obviously it's too heavy, obviously. But go up until the point where you can't lift the weight. That's what failure is. Like, what else do you think failure is? Failure is not stopping when it hurts. No, it hurts the whole time. Like, you're never gonna get anywhere if you always stop when it hurts. Failure is when your body physically cannot possibly get that damn weight up. When you're about to fucking die under that weight. That's what failure is. So I want you to get as close to that as you can on as many sets as you can, and that is gonna give you the fastest results you've ever seen. Also, you can train abs if you want to, but you could also just like go to yoga. Love you guys. Lift heavy.